Hey yo, the rain was steady pouring, heard the drops and drizzle meant to be. Chilling in my crib, no doubt, peep the scenery. Telephone rang, then it stopped before I could answer it. I heard it knock at the door, so I answered it. And with Jermaine, he had a little situation. Beef up on the block, and orthodox that led the confrontation. He said these cats be acting hard on the block, and they be pumping weight and holding, so Dwayne got shot. Now see, Dwayne was just a knucklehead, but still with his cousin. And I'd be wrong if I ain't help him when it's beef, he gon' rush and
So I know a lot of you guys have been asking about my current exhaust setup, and that is an eBay brand special. It was the cheaper, like 3-inch bolt-on, not even like a CX Racing, I think it was like a no-name brand exhaust, and it's still currently on my car. It's not bad. It's 3-inch stainless steel exhaust. I haven't had any problems with it. I have toyed around with these, different things on the car, and right now it is a full 3-inch turbo back with a mid pipe in the middle, or like a test pipe, because I wanted to make sure to pass emissions, smog, whatever you guys want to call it. And I don't have to worry about that anymore, so I'm probably going to pull the exhaust off here in the near future. Now that I have my full welder set up, everything's ready to go, I'm probably going to pull the exhaust off and get rid of the test pipe and do just a full straight through 3-inch exhaust. Now, the thing that I did do is I added some 3-inch V-bands, so that makes it a little bit nicer to take these guys on and off. And I don't think I've done a video yet with this on. It's been a while. This thing's been just sitting kind of in the back corner of my garage. And I wanted to show you guys the difference between running a giant HKS high power muffler versus a 4.5-inch just axle back slip-on tip. And this thing's pretty sweet. So like I said, it's not anything too fancy. It's just a 4.5-inch main body here, and then we just reduce it down to a 3-inch, and then with the V-band. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple different little exhaust notes, see what you guys think. I haven't been running this because it is exceptionally louder than the HKS. Even the HKS mufflers, like, it gives it a good tone, but it's still pretty loud. This definitely is super loud. So it's basically having no exhaust on it at all, just from the turbo all the way back to this thing. So, but I'll give you a couple different sound notes. Hopefully I can get you guys set up and do a couple of drive-bys so you guys can hear the sound outside the car. So my plan for today's video is we're gonna bolt this on, which you guys have heard it with this muffler on. I'm gonna put this guy back on, and I'll pull this sucker off, and I'll put this guy back on, and you guys will be able to hear the difference between the two. I don't have like a decibel reader or any of that kind of stuff, so if you guys are interested in that, the decibel reading is awesome. I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So again, I know that some of you guys have been asking about this, like what kind of exhaust system are you running on your car? Is it full custom? Pretty much full custom. I just bought the kit, like I said, from eBay, and then I've cut and welded and added some things to that original kit, just because I didn't have a tubing bender at the time. And this exhaust system has been on my car for probably 10 years now, I think, with no issues. So the first thing I did before I put the exhaust kit on the car was I sprayed it with a high temp black paint, and I haven't had any rusting or anything, and it's definitely held together. So I'll see if we can find the original listing on eBay, and then I'll put the link in the description below if you guys are curious about that. If you guys are like, dude, I'm not touching out the 10-foot pole, great. I'm just telling you right now that it has held up with no problems. I did put some different hardware on there, different bolts and nuts and that sort of thing, so it would withstand the weather, and it's been fine. So, but anyways, enough about that. Let's get to it. Here that is insanely loud. I mean, I guess it's not really insanely loud, but it's pretty loud without like anything on. So I'll show you guys underneath really quick and show you how easy it is to just swap these in and out. But it sounds pretty good without anything on it. And I even considered, I toyed with the idea of doing just like a V-band with like, just like a little 3-inch like turn down. So basically just come right out of the exhaust and then just point right at the ground. I don't know if that's probably a good idea. The last thing I want is just to be, mid-cruise and just pass out from carbon monoxide. So maybe we won't do that. At least with, the tip and the muffler, it's exiting past the back bumper. I don't have to worry about any of the carbon dioxide stuff. So, but anyways, I'll show you guys how easy it is to put these on. We'll do the muffler first, show you guys how good it sounds, and then we'll swap over to the straight pipe, and then we'll go from there. On the exhaust, you can see it's right there. It just has like one hanger there. There's the V-band, and then it's hard to see, but up there is the test pipe, and then from the test pipe to the down pipe, which I made that part of it. So, and there was actually a joint right there. It's kind of hard to see, but that's also a V-band, and I actually got rid of that and just welded that piece and that piece together, so it just makes it one solid piece, and it's fine. Now again, it's not like the nicest exhaust you can get, obviously, and I toyed with the idea of completely swapping out for something fresh and new. Now again, I've got my welder and everything set up, so I could go in and build a new exhaust if I wanted to, and I may do that in the future, but we'll see what happens. Oh, and for just a little update, I did put the RPF ones back on. My drag slicks are sitting here. I didn't realize how bad these things actually were, so you can see all the cords inside the tire. I didn't do any burnouts or anything like that with these, but I was driving with them, and I think the alignment was off, and it just wore through. So they're getting pretty dangerous. Pull them off for the time being, and threw these back on. Let me know what you guys think. I've had some of you guys reach out and say, yeah, the drag slicks they're cool, but they're not my Toshin jam. I completely understand that, and they do look pretty sweet. They are really aggressive, and they are really big. Again, guys, I'm like 400 horse, so a slick this big is really overkill for the power that I'm currently producing. Now, granted, we're going to be producing more power in the future, but as of right now, like running a huge fat drag slick, it's not great. And it was the ride on the drag slicks, it was fine. It just wasn't as comfortable as I would like. So it did a lot of weird stuff, like because you don't have the tread on there. Driving these on a normal like asphalt on prepped surface road, when you go to like switch lanes and there's like that contour in the road for like whisking the water away, the car would want to pull, and it would want to pull really hard. And so it was kind of, I wouldn't say it was like dangerous, but it just wasn't super comfortable to me. Whereas these Federal 595s, if you guys were curious what I'm running on the back, is Federal 595. It's a 275 3518, and they're great. I haven't had any problems with them. I honestly would consider getting them again. They've been fine. They wear great, no issues. They don't do that at all. So they're great on a non-prep surface, just regular asphalt road. Even when it's cold, they hook just fine. Now, I hate to even say this, but I am considering selling these. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not fully set on selling them yet. They do look really good. I just don't know if I really need them. And it was a spur-of-the-moment purchase. Like I told you guys in the other video, I got them for a killer deal. It was a deal I just couldn't pass up, and I had the cash. I just got them. And now I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I really need them. And they could go to someone that would actually use them and utilize them for what they're designed for. And maybe if I get a smaller tire on there, they may look great, and they may look more proportioned to the vehicle. I don't know. We'll see. Comment below. Tell me what you guys think. If you guys are like, yeah, I don't know, drag slicks don't really do it for me. These, the RPF one, the full RPF one setup just looks a lot better, cleaner, more portion to the car. Like, I get that, and I'm fine with both. Anyways, enough about that. Let's get these guys on and see how it sounds. Funny with this, when I first bought this muffler, I thought I was a welder, and the welds on this thing are absolutely terrible. But you know what? You gotta start somewhere. just to idle, it's obviously a little bit louder than a real muffler, an actual muffler, but I can sit and actually talk, and you can probably hear me just fine. But getting on it, you know, when the turbo comes on, sounds really good. Good clean sound, not raspy. And in my opinion, the 7M, I think it sounds really good. I mean, it sounds not quite like a 2J, not quite like a 1J, but somewhere in between. And it produces a really good tone if you've got a good exhaust and a good muffler. So, not too bad at all. Okay, let's throw the big tip on now.
That's what she said.
Then we'll do a little side-by-side comparison. You guys can see how they sound. And then obviously we'll take the car out, drive it, do some revs somewhere other than my garage so you guys can actually hear what it sounds like. And yeah, we'll go from there. So now keep in mind as well, if you have a different setup, like if you have a different turbo manifold, you have a different size exhaust, you have different bends in your exhaust, it's not going to sound like this. This isn't like this is what your car's going to sound like, because it may be different. If you're running the factory GTE manifold with the CT26, it may sound completely different. Now, if you guys are thinking about V-banding like your exhaust stuff, I would definitely recommend it because it's no gaskets, super easy to swap out, and just no issues. Like it's done, it's on there, okay? Super quick, took me maybe a minute to swap it out, but yeah, super easy. And I mean, it looks pretty mean. I've always liked this look of just the straight, the straight tip on there. I mean, the muffler looks good, and I just think it looks, a lot cleaner. Just the straight pipe in there looks pretty sweet. Now, I don't recommend this if you're still required to pass smog or emissions. There's no muffler on there, so you might not be able to get away with that. With this car, again, in Utah, I have a special insurance that allows me to not have to do emissions. I don't drive the car enough, so it's basically emissions exempt, but like, again, I had to go through a process to get the special insurance just for that. But let's fire this thing up and you guys will be able to see, again, here, you can't see the sound, hear how good it sounds with a straight pipe on there, and then I'll pull it out of the garage and then we'll go get some drive-bys. So quite a bit louder. I have to talk a little bit louder now because, again, there's nothing that's muffling the sound besides the turbo. Everything's just straight coming out. So, but it sounds so good. Super throaty. I haven't tested the launch control or the anti-lag on this yet, so I'm thinking that's gonna be pretty rowdy when I do that. But yeah, guys, it sounds good. My neighbors don't love it, but it sounds really good. well, there you guys have it. Not really like a super fascinating, interesting video. And again, this is kind of a hard comparison because your guys' car may sound completely different. I guess if you copied the exact same turbo manifold I have, the exact same exhaust I have with muffler, everything, then yeah, it'd sound the same. You can see in a couple of those clips, again, I don't want to like make my neighbors mad, so that's why I didn't like rip up and down my street, because I'm just not going to do that. But you guys can hear kind of the rev and how much louder and throatier the straight pipe was, and then you hear that it was a little more toned down with the HKS muffler. I gotta find something in between. So, because the HKS muffler, if you guys pick up on the video, the radiator fan almost is louder than the muffler until I'm getting on it. So, if I'm just revving it up, you guys can hear the fan louder than the muffler, which is not ideal, but whatever. So, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. I'll just keep both of them. If I want to swap it out and make my neighbors mad, then I'll just swap out for the straight pipe. If I want to just keep it cool and sound good, throaty, a little bit quieter, then I'll just keep the HKS on there. For right now, the HKS is going to just stay on there. It sounds the best. I don't know. I think I need to switch some stuff up. I think I'm getting just a little bit of droning on the, I don't know if it's just the main exhaust part of it itself, but I'm going to go in there. Like I said, I got my, you guys see it, my welder all set up. So I'm pretty excited to start kind of getting into that, using that thing. I'll give you guys a little bit of a review on the top one, which is the Arc Captain welder. But again, that's for another video. So I'm going to pull the whole exhaust off, and I'm going to use these guys to basically just stitch everything up and make it look a lot cleaner, a lot nicer, and just flow a lot better. So when I first got this exhaust, it's been years. I've had it for a long time. That was like one of the first things I did on this car, was buy that eBay special exhaust and threw it on there. And it sounds fine. I just don't have any way to make a full exhaust. I mean, I'll probably just use what I've got because it routes, underneath the car the way it needs to. So the best thing would be just to cut those sections out and just butt weld them together and make sure that it flows nice and smooth. So another thing that I was going to mention to you guys was, if somebody, I'm just putting some fillers out there, if you guys have a turbo manifold for a 7MGE GTE lying around that's more of a tubular style turbo manifold, not so much like what I've got, which is a log manifold, hit me up. Let me know if you guys have one and you want to part ways with it, because I definitely want to try something different. Again, if you guys watched my other video with the turbo manifolds, I actually talk about that manifold right there, and it's just not ideal. It doesn't flow very well. I know that it's restrictive. I mean, the problem is like right here, it's feeding not in the center of the manifold, which would be a little bit more ideal for just flow for the turbo. So I think I'm having a little bit of maybe a spooling issue. It's a little delayed with spooling up on that. I feel like the turbo is just taking the exhaust as it needs it, and it's not really getting spun with the exhaust, if that makes sense. So if you guys have something lying around like an old Rev 9 or something that I wouldn't feel bad cutting apart to re-weld, because what I would like to do eventually is do a dual wastegate setup. So whether that's dual 38s, dual 44s, whatever it may be, I do want to do something different with that setup. So that would be requiring me to cut it apart and re-welding it, reconfiguring it. But I would like something that's still kind of in one piece, that's got the collector on there, and it's kind of got that, again, the tubular style manifold. I know CX Racing has one. I know they've got two different styles, one that pushes the turbo back a little bit towards the firewall, which is kind of like this, or they have one that brings the turbo forward a little bit. I'd want the one that brings the turbo forward a little bit more, so it sits, up closer. So it sits closer to the front of the engine up here, not so much to the back, if that makes sense. If you guys have something like that, let me know. I'm not looking to spend a crap ton of money. I mean, I just want to try it out and just see what the difference is between this manifold and something like the CX manifold or something better. I mean, whatever you guys got. So, but anyways, I know that's a majority of your sound is going to come from a good flowing manifold. Your turbo's going to spool up better. It's going to just sound better. I know that's where a lot of it's coming from. And then obviously, your downpipe is going to give a different resonance. It's going to sound just way better, way cleaner. And I think, that's, you guys can kind of see it back there. It's kind of hurt me a little bit because it is so tight back there.
That's what she said.
So, I mean, that's my downpipe right there. It is super tight to the firewall, super hard 90 right there. Not ideal. So again, if you guys have something lying around and you're like, oh, I'll hook him up. Sure, whatever. Hit me up. Message me on Instagram. Let me know if you guys have something that would work, and maybe we could work up a deal or whatever. I just want to try something different and see what we can do. Obviously, I would need to get the car retuned with the new manifold, downpipe, all that stuff. So I'm going into that with an open mind. But I think I am shooting myself in the foot with this manifold. And again, if you guys are curious about that turbo manifold, I do a whole video on that one on my channel. Go check it out, and you guys will see it's just not ideal. This would be pretty similar to a 7M GTE style manifold, like the stock manifold with the CT26, because the turbo sits a little bit further back on the manifold, and that's to accommodate all the stuff in the front, like your CPS and all that stuff. On the GTE, you got the power steering pump that sits like right in this area here. So I think either one are not great flowing. The 7M GTE cast manifold it's not great. It works. Don't get me wrong. If you guys have that on your car and you're like, oh great, you told me my manifold sucks. No, Toyota engineered it for a reason. I mean, it works just fine. I think when we built this one here, I don't think we really took into consideration with you know, how everything's going to flow inside there. We were more trying to keep the turbo out of the way of the intake that went over to the top of the engine there. So, and I think, you know, I'm rambling right now, but I think a lot of that is contributing to why my car sounds a certain way. It doesn't sound bad by any means. It doesn't sound bad at all. Camera doesn't quite do it justice. I've got my good mic on here, but again, it's hard to tell unless you're in the car driving it, and then you'd be like, oh, it actually sounds pretty good. So, but yeah, again, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this is something that maybe can help you guys. If you're like, oh yeah, I want to put a straight pipe, you know, exhaust on my Supra, and I want it to sound a certain way. These are some things that you need to look into, and some things that you need to consider when doing this. But your main sound, I would say, on at least for my opinion, is going to be your turbo manifold. So if you got something good, it's going to sound awesome. If you have something built, you know, again, it's going to sound awesome. Turbo manifolds are stupid expensive. I'm looking at building my own turbo manifold. That's what I'm saying. If you guys have one lying around that's like a Rev 9 or something that's maybe already even cut apart, you guys started cutting it apart and you're like, ah, this is too much for me, like, let me know, because I can put it back together and make it a certain way. So, but anyways, guys, I know I'm rambling now, and I just want to get this video out there for you because I need to just upload something for you guys to check out and watch and be entertained by. That being said, like, comment, subscribe. As always, you guys know how the YouTube game works because you've been doing it for so long now, and you guys have been doing that on my channel, which has been awesome, and huge shout out and thanks to you guys. And that being said, we'll see you on the next one.